Okay. So, and we're going live.
Good.
So here we have the first episode of Dr. Corsi and Pamphlet and I am BrainStorm, and we're going to be relaunching, rebranding Coffee and Freedom. How's everybody doing today?
Right, here we go. This is Jerome Corsi. I'm here with us. We're going to try to get the video up here right in a second. What we're going to try to do is create some new focus here for news and ways in which we can discuss news. This is going to be a great live stream opportunity to really get into some topics that the mainstream media is not going to cover. And there we go. I think I'm up there now on the video. Good to see everybody. And I can see we're getting joined. We've got already 1,500 people joining us, which is terrific.
That's great.
And
hello, everybody.
Of course, my cell phone's going to ring at the same time, but we'll take care of that right now. Live broadcasting. There we are. So you can see now we're all ready to go. I want to get into a couple topics to begin with. We're going to be Pamphlet's joining us. Pamphlet will be here by voice. Mostly, you'll see me through this, but Pamphlet will be joining us by voice.
That's right.
And we'll be able to discuss back and forth. And we'll have over time, as these broadcasts go on, we'll have additional people joining us to comment on news and comment on what we're finding out is really going on in the greater world. I want to start out by talking about Snowden and this whole series of drops we've gotten from Qanon, which suggests that Snowden is now in Hong Kong. And Pamphlet, you want to fill us in on what we know, what the details are from what we know?
Just regarding what we've heard from Q and whatnot.
Yes, just go over the Q drops and what the discussion is.
Sure thing. All right, let's see. Well, we first heard Q mention Snowden some time ago. And if give me just a minute here, I'll bring up the posts and we can have a look at exactly where that all began. Pulling it up right now. Okay. And obviously, as you all well know, we have heard quite a bit over the past 24 hours or so regarding Snowden. That's why we're trying to focus on that today, because as I'm sure you all can guess, it seems like something big is about to happen regarding him. As to what that is anyone's guess, but it's whatever it is, it's big. All right, so let me see if I can find the first post here mentioning Snowden.
And can everybody see the live chat? I want to make sure all those who are here can see the live chat and can see us. Got good pictures, good sound. This is our very first of these broadcasts. So I'm going to look over here, and people say we should accept donations. We'll be happy to. We're going to have to set up the super chat over here, which will take us a little bit of time to get going, one step at a time. We're happy to be bringing this to you. It's always going to be brought to you so that it will be live streaming on the internet and should be free to everybody to watch.
That's right.
And that's the whole idea of this, is to get a discussion going and to really get into some topics you're never going to hear on the mainstream media, you're never going to hear on Fox.
Right. So, our big focus here is, one, covering the topics of the day that we see being covered in the Mockingbird media, and talking about why they're covering it, but more importantly, what they are not talking about. I think that is by far the most important topic of discussion that we will be covering here in general, because you can glean a lot of information from what they are not discussing. And it helps you sort of put together a big picture about regarding what is going on in the world and what they are trying to do and how we need to be ready to react to it.
So let's get into Pamphlet. Why don't you run down some of the posts on Snowden and kind of bring us up to speed, and then we'll get into a discussion on it.
Sure.
You got any links?
Sorry.
You got any links to share?
We can share some links. Sure, we'll do that in a minute. Let's share the link for making sure everybody knows where the Q posts are, and I'll drop that over here so we can get that into too, just so people can follow the Q posts as we're going along. I'll paste that here, and then I've got a couple articles I want to post as well as we go along here. So it's at the Qanon map at the .github GITHUB.io. And BrainStorm's working with us. He's our engineer today, and so can we post that up on the screen so people can see it as well?
Yeah, I'm going to actually have that open up in a
there we go, in a window. There we go. So we're all learning how to do this and sharing it. So Pamphlet, why don't you get into the details of Snowden in China, which is what we hear he is.
Sure. I have all of the posts mentioning Snowden pulled up here, so we'll begin right at the start. There's a link to it, Brain, for you to pull it up for folks, displaying all the Snowden posts. And
I'm not seeing it. Where are you putting that?
I just DM'd it to you.
I can't do it that way.
Oh, my bad. Where should I put it then?
It's right here. I've got it right here. Here's the post. That's the link for the posts, and here you got the link, the Snowden post. We got it right there. Okay, so go ahead.
All right. So our very first post mentioning Snowden happened. Why did that happen? Come on, I don't know why it does this. I'll search for the post.
It was back in. I can find it very easily here. It was back in November 6th.
That's right. Oh, there we go. I got it now.
Got it. There you go. So it was about essentially. Well, go ahead. You can run it down.
Yeah. Let me read through it here. This is a pretty significant post. November 6th. All right. Why, by coincidence, is there a terrorist attack or mental health sea-level attack within a short time post negative D news? Do you believe in coincidences? They think you are stupid. What's that?
Which number is that? November 6th?
It's number 120. What I did to pull them all up is just type Snowden into the little search bar up at the top of one of the GitHub sites.
All right.
All right, so there we go. They think you are stupid. Puppets without power. They want your guns. Why? No power left. Who funds ISIS? What email published by WikiLeaks connects Saudi Arabia / Qatar to ISIS? Was HRC connected? Why is this relevant? Why is controlling the narrative important? Do most people investigate for themselves or simply follow? Why is the MSM so hostile towards POTUS? Who controls the MSM? Why, each and every day, is the MSM pushing a particular topic? Coordinated. Who sets the narrative for the day? How is the narrative communicated to the MSM? What does the NSA / military intelligence have, at least what you know of, that allows for data collection? Think Snowden.
Yeah,
obviously. Go ahead.
And I think rather than read them all, we'll just try to, if you go to this QAnon post .github, which is the reference we picked up on there, it's specifically GAnonmap.github.io, GITHUB.io. You can type Snowden to edit, find Snowden, you'll find the ones that are here. From the beginning, Q has paid particular attention to Snowden. Snowden has been really a constant recurring theme for QAnon.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this first post was within 1 week of Q beginning to post, well, more or less 1 week.
Yeah, and people say slow down the chat. I think you can slow down the chat with your cursor. If you kind of, work it over there, you can make it go a little bit slower, and you can read them. You can slow it down at yourself on your side. If you just let it run with people, then there's almost 2,800 people watching us, so therefore you've got a lot of people posting. Let's do a little bit more commentary. We're going to try to work out some of the technical issues. You can't read the fine print. I know there's some of these issues. Remember, this is our first broadcast. We're going to learn how to get things up so you can see them better, can see them more clearly.
You all will be coming along for the ride as we do our first run here, and help us working out the kinks and watching us grow as a channel. Happy to have you all along.
But I think what we're seeing in the QAnon posts is that in the most recent ones, Q is saying, and these I think in the last couple of days, that Snowden appears to be in Hong Kong. And Q posted a street scene from Hong Kong, which is where Snowden originally went. It's kind of the western part of Hong Kong, very poor area, a lot of mixed races there. It's kind of a slum, really, in terms of Hong Kong. But Snowden went there and hid out to begin with. And I'm not sure he's back in that particular area. Everybody's looking, find Waldo. They were all trying to find if we could determine where Snowden was in that picture. But the clear issue, I think, is that Snowden, from what Q is saying, is now on the move. Now, the question, and I don't see that we have the question really resolved yet, is there are two possibilities. One is that he could be out with the approval of the U.S. government, and the U.S. government does not want to apprehend him, but wants to bring him back to the United States, maybe make it clear he will not be prosecuted, and to have him be a white hat, to have him expose the NSA and the CIA's involvement with the NSA. This would go a long way to having another shoe drop, another boom, as Q is saying. And I think the American public will be shocked CIA's involved to realize how much the PRISM system the NSA has developed is utilizing Google data, data from the social media, probably gathering every one of our telephone calls, every one of our email, broadcasts, etc. And the data from the social media are integrated in that data so we can be micro-targeted and profiled as individuals. Now, the other possibility, and let me mention this, I'm going to give Pamphlet a chance to weigh in here and see which way he sees it. But the other possibility is that the United States government might have traded someone for Snowden, and we may have captured him again, maybe even an exchange that was an exchange. Maybe that's what that bridge reference meant when we before heard of one of the Russian defectors who did come across to the United States. And if that's the case, well, Snowden may be being brought back not only for what he knows, but also to face justice for having stolen and released this classified information. And I'm not sure which it is quite at the moment yet. And Pamphlet, do you want to weigh in on this?
Sorry, I had my kid in the background there. They didn't know I was live down here in the basement. So,
That's all right.
But yes, sure. You were discussing what is potentially happening here with Snowden.
Yeah, is he a white hat or a black hat? Which is he?
I was telling folks last night. You and I have sort of had friendly disagreements on this point. We kind of have a running bet going, $1 for whether he's a white hat or a black hat. Doc Corsi's on the side of white hat. I'm on the side of him being a black hat. But I will say I think I do still think that he is or was a black hat. But I think he is being given the opportunity to come over to the side of good and light. I think he's going to have an opportunity here. I do think that he is being or has been taken in. I think he may be coming back to the U.S. here very, very shortly, if he's not already back. And I think the opportunity is now in his hands to decide whose side he really is on. Those are my thoughts on it.
Well, there's some discussion, right? There's some discussion here of, and I saw uh, I get quite a few. I mean, I'm getting lots and lots of emails and text messages these days. More so since I've been on the live chats, and there's speculation that this Lavrov may have been exchanged for Snowden, and it may have been actually a swap that went on to get Snowden out of Russia. And I'm trying to find, I guess, Sergei Lavrov, and who is one of the, let's see, he's, I'm just getting a basic handle on him now, Russian diplomat politician. He was the Russian representative to the UN from 2004.
Mm-hmm.
I'm seeing in the live chat, people are saying that they think Lavrov may have been traded.
I agree.
For Snowden.
I think he was the trade.
You do think that?
I do.
Well, it'd be a spy versus spy, as someone over here, Chazatron 600 says, spy v spy. And they're saying, yeah, gray hat. Maybe he's gray hat. He played both sides. This is Garrett Bishop over in the live chat saying essentially that he's a gray hat. And, again, I'm not sure. It also occurred to me, if you remember the pictures a few weeks ago that Q was posting of that King Tower in Shanghai, I wondered if that was Snowden that was being extracted from that King Tower in Shanghai, and maybe brought to China by Russia, and then grabbed by U.S. intelligence in Shanghai. It's a possibility, and now maybe brought to Hong Kong, and its way to be brought to the United States. I just don't know, but it's certainly an intriguing story, and we're following it pretty closely. And the ramifications of this could be huge, because if we get Snowden back to the United States, we're one way or the other, we're going to find out the real details of what's going on at the NSA with the PRISM program, which is a super secret program that the NSA is running, trying to integrate data to micro-target the population of the United States. That's what I believe that they're doing. Now, a pamphlet, you pulled together some of these other Q posts on Snowden. Were there any that you wanted to discuss in particular that caught your attention?
Yes, absolutely. I think our focus really should be on the posts from the past, really from February and on. The first one in February was, let's see, JFK con room. Would you believe this site is actually used to comm to rogue operators at Snowden? And then in brackets.
Which number is this? Which number is this?
Sure, it's number 709 on February 10th.
On February 10th, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And everybody, Qanon, QANON map, M-A-P, QAnonMap.github, GITHUB.io, where you can find them all the Q posts.
Right.
So 710.
And for just a way to quickly bring up all of the posts that mention Snowden, once you get onto that GitHub site, there is right up at the top left corner of the website, there's a little search bar there. What I've done is I just typed in Snowden and hit the search button, and it brings up, I think there's about 19 posts that mention him, 19 or 20 posts. And the one we are on now is numbered 709 on February 10th. So again, it's a short post. Let me go ahead and read it again here. There we go. Okay, it reads JFK con room, and then links to that page on the CIA.gov website, labeled, it's like a kids page. So that's what they call it anyway. It's got some games, code, breaking code sort of puzzles and whatnot. And Q says after linking that page, would you believe this site is actually used to comm to rogue operators? Next line is at Snowden, and below that in brackets, John. And the last line, cold, question mark. I think John is referring to John Brennan of the CIA. And I imagine that what's being implied here is that John Brennan was using this site to communicate with Mr. Snowden. out in the field.
Well, you know, it's very interesting because that post, the 709, occurred right after the what's going on in Asia, where we were seeing pictures of Shanghai,
yes,
and the airport with the e-terminal. It's clear. And one of the things I'd like to make sure people understand is that a lot of times when we get this intelligence in terms of what's going on and people, for instance, being extricated and the like, is that this may already have happened. I mean, it's conceivable to me that Snowden's already back in the United States.
I agree. Yep.
And that what we're getting now is kind of the backstory. In other words, this is how it happened, but we're being told how it happened, and it looks like it's in real time, but really it happened quite a while ago. I mean, that's very possible. With
definite possibility. Oh yeah.
And here, that's right. It's Stanislav Luna, people are saying.
Oh, did we say Lavrov?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Apologies, folks. Yeah.
Stanislav Lunez. Let's look that up. That's maybe there's again over in the chat. And by the way, we're trying to follow. I try to follow the live chat in YouTube. I find a lot of really good information posted over there. We get some very, very knowledgeable viewers, and with this medium, they can, you're participating. We're watching. We're trying to incorporate your comments. These are really good suggestions. So Stanislav Lunev, just even to go, to WikiLeaks, a former Soviet military officer, the highest-ranking GRU officer to defect from Russia to the United States. Possible. I mean, he. I wonder if he would want to go back. I mean, this is the kind of thing. It'd be kind of like he wants to go back to Russia, and Snowden wants to come back to the United States. That might be one of the nature of the exchange. He's written a couple of, book of memoirs, Through the Eyes of the Enemy. He writes for some online newspapers. He's pretty well known, but that's one of the interesting people that basically is following through. It could be. I mean, it could be a prisoner exchange. I'm not ruling it out at all. But see, the question I'm asking is that if in fact we've got Snowden coming back, see, I'm looking at this from Donald Trump's point of view. What Trump, I think, is trying to do, the references to the bridge would then be a spy exchange. We'd be seeing a spy exchange. That's, I think, what may be happening, very possibly what's happening. Hillary sent 10 Russians back to Christmas Eve. I think Hillary was trying to get them out of town before they talked on what she had done in Ukraine. At any rate, the point is that I think if we get Snowden back, can debrief Snowden, we're going to find out a lot of information about what the NSA was doing with the CIA and with Google and the like, which also ties into with why Eric Schmidt may have left the country so quickly after that executive order, left Google, left the Alphabet, after that executive order was signed on December 21st by President Trump, where the Treasury can confiscate the assets of those involved in human rights trafficking and also any corruption. I kind of want to tie this into Julian Assange, who we have kind of lost a little bit of track of, because Julian Assange, I don't think has been seen in the embassy in London since the December post we got from Qanon that he was going to be extracted from there after he got his diplomatic passport from Ecuador. Pamphlet, can you remember any sightings, or where is Assange?
I know it's been quite some time. I thought it had been even longer than that. You know what? Let me see what I can find, sir.
I don't think we've seen Assange at all, and that's really, again, another indication to me that there could be something going on behind the scenes that we're not really fully aware of yet, and that we're going to become aware of once we get more knowledge, more information coming out, which is frequently the way this happens is that we find out later things that have gone on before that we didn't know about happening at the time. Let's see. Snowden was removed in post 809, February 22nd. Someone is saying, let's just look at post 809 for a minute here and see what that says. I'll pull that up right now.
I recall when a lot of this stuff about all these theories about Assange possibly being either extracted by the good guys or the bad guys. I remember when all that was going on. Shortly afterwards, there were some interviews he did, allegedly from the embassy, but there was absolutely no proof that that's where he was. It's a really interesting topic. I'm very curious myself what exactly happened there. I personally believe he's not there anymore.
I don't think he's there either. I think he's in Switzerland. I think he's probably in Bern, Switzerland. 809 was clowns revealed in China, other 2010. This goes back to 187. This goes back to some breaches, again, with Hillary and the special access data and her emails when Qanon was basically suggesting that Hillary was responsible for certain spies U.S. spies being caught in China, CIA agents. And CrowdStrike was, of course, which is mentioned in this one, was funded by Eric Schmidt and Google. They put $100 million into CrowdStrike. CrowdStrike looked at the DNC computers and said it was Russia that hacked them. Cozy Bear, Fuzzy Bear. I've always thought CrowdStrike planted that metadata, was working on behalf of Hillary and Schmidt to frame Trump, and then betrayed only the tip. This will be made public soon. And we're getting more and more, I think with Snowden coming back, we're going to be finding out much more about the impact of Hillary's escapades in Russia, because he's going to know quite a bit about that. He's going to know about spies who were killed, going to know about the selling of U.S. military technology, which was done to Russia under
the information that. Sorry, the information that we saw from Snowden that got released was just the tip of the iceberg. He had so much more that is not out there, and the amount of information on all of this stuff that he's got, I imagine we're going to be learning some pretty shocking and incredible things very, very soon.
And I think it's the same with Assange. Assange has information which he told to Congressman Dana Rohrabacher, California, that included proof positive that it was not Russia who leaked to him sent him the DNC and Podesta emails. I'm confident it was Seth Rich. And I don't think Snowden was involved. And Geek is asking over here whether Snowden was involved in the WikiLeaks information. I don't think so. I think that was Seth Rich. And possibly Kim.com may have played a role in it, as he claims. But I think Seth Rich, if we could get a hold of Seth Rich's computer, which is being held by the Washington Police Department, I think we could prove out of that alone that Seth Rich was in touch with Assange. And Assange has virtually said so. I mean, that's been a constant tease by Assange that it was Seth Rich.
So on that, there's a few posts up here that talk about Snowden and the truth to power. And I actually didn't know about it until I was kind of walking through Walmart just one day, trying to find something to do outside of this. And I noticed there was a video by Al Gore's. It's actually Al Gore's sequel to the that global warming thing. But that's actually titled Truth to Power. And I'm wondering, like in that post 731 there, it says timestamp Snowden Truth to Power, drop Truth to Power. I'm wondering if that Truth to Power is actually that Al Gore thing. What do you think about that?
It could be, but I think, one of the posters over here in the live chat said that there's only about there's maybe millions of documents that Snowden took with him that have not yet been released. And if Snowden kind of parlayed those non-released documents, that he could release them if he were brought back to the United States, that may have been the trade-off that would have appealed to the Trump administration. I can constantly think, and I can affirm it. I mean, the sources I have, we call it in the intelligence world, affirm that we're only seeing about 2% of what's going on below the surface right now. I think there are active discussions going on within the Trump administration about both Assange and Snowden. And there's, I think, going to be a clear plan to expose, by Donald Trump, to expose the CIA and expose the NSA on their violations of law and their massive surveillance of the U.S. population. I mean, remember, Trump said but as soon as he knew about it, he was under electronic surveillance. He posted it right away after Admiral Rogers came and told him in the transition.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, mainstream media went insane, but it was true, and Trump was right, and he immediately went public with it. I think he was offended, and I think he's going to expose the NSA and the CIA. Pamphlet?
Yeah, I mean, on that note, regarding what might be exposed coming down the pipe here with the CIA and the NSA, who better to do that than Mr. Snowden? Whether he's black hat or white hat, if he's white hat, he should be doing this of his own accord. If he's black hat, I suspect he's being gently coaxed, let's say, in the right direction. And again, who better to expose this stuff than somebody who was originally a clown and moved on to the NSA as a contractor. He's got a lot of the information, clearly from what we saw regarding his release of information on the NSA and their essentially illegal spying on U.S. citizens, and that's just the NSA. What does he know about the CIA? And I expect we're going to find out just what he does know regarding both agencies and how they were abused by a certain administration very soon.
Okay, now I will. People are asking for my email address. I can direct messages. I sometimes I get inundated with emails when I give out the email address. I'm thinking, though, of creating a public email address where I can get messages. It's just that I get inundated with them, and it's hard to answer them all. But for the moment, I do get instant messages, and I do look at them on YouTube, on my channel. I want to bring up another subject that's related, and that is that I think Jeff Sessions is in the process of appointing a special counsel. I watched it very, very carefully yesterday as the drum roll started. The drum roll started with people saying basically that we had Goodlatte and Gowdy yesterday, who were being interviewed pretty extensively by Fox News, and they were making the argument that special prosecutors needed on the FISA to examine the FISA abuses, FISA court abuses, and electronic surveillance abuses, because a lot of people left government and were not able to be investigated by the Inspector General, Michael Horowitz, and that you couldn't expect the Department of Justice to investigate itself. And Congress, has limited powers. Congress can recommend prosecution, but it can't actually indict anyone. And what I think you got here is you've got a situation. Sorry, Wax Lab is pointing out. Yes, I meant the DC police have the Seth Rich laptop. The NYPD have the Weiner laptop. Those two laptops are going to be critical to get before this is over, because I think they've got really fundamental information on it. on this whole on many different subjects. I think if we had Weiner's laptop, that alone would destroy Hillary.
What were you saying about Jeff Sessions doing?
Well, so first of all, watch the news and see that we've got a point coming to where a decision has to be made. Sessions is going to have to decide whether he's going to appoint a special prosecutor. Now, the pressure is going to come from Congress. Because remember, President Trump's in a difficult position. He can't demand that Sessions have a second special prosecutor. He could be being investigated by Mueller for the potential of obstructing justice. So Donald Trump's got to be very careful what he does directly. Now, if Congress comes out, you've got Goodlatte, you've got Gowdy, you've got Senator Grassley, all of whom are saying we need a special prosecutor. Now, yesterday, they made detailed arguments. What they did was they said, here's why we need a special prosecutor. We need a special prosecutor, a second one, because the Inspector General, which I think they all trust this Mike Horowitz, I think he's going to come out with a good report on the corruption in the Department of Justice, but he's got limited powers. He can't investigate someone who's not a current Justice Department official. He can investigate him, but he can't compel testimony, can't do all the kinds of things you'd like him to be able to do. So, at the same time, the Department of Justice can't investigate itself. So now these arguments are being made. Now, Sessions has taken a couple of he sued California, I guess, Los Angeles, on this sanctuary city, and he's going aggressively after that. He was interviewed, and in the interview, I heard him this morning saying he is very seriously considering the appointment of a special prosecutor. And this morning, Hugh dropped this one post in which he said, it was right on about Sessions. He said, "Do you trust Sessions?" And he said, "Boom." Well, this boom has been Hugh's most recent image for things happening. I think one of the booms is about Snowden on the loose. I think another boom will be that back channel. I think Sessions is not only seriously considering appointing a special counselor, I think they're trying to look for him, to see who the special counselor might be. And Pamphlet, what do you think about all this? Watching it, what are your thoughts?
Well, what do you think exactly this special prosecutor is going to be appointed to handle? Election fraud? Why more wide ranging? What are you thinking?
I think it's going to start. I think I'll focus on the FISA court, and I think that's the FISA court and the Fusion GPS are the two linchpins. These are the issues that bring down the House of Cards. Mm-hmm. Because you see, it was the FISA court that gave permission, and remember, Obama created that FISA court. And in order to have a way to, quote unquote, legitimately conduct the electronic surveillance he wanted to do, all you had to do was go to FISA court and get approval. And then the FISA court was created, so it was all very easy to get the approval. Well, and the Department of Justice and the FBI went in with this dossier from Fusion GPS, which had been paid for by Hillary and the DNC, which the FBI had not validated. They didn't tell the FISA court all this. Now, that in itself is a crime. And then the FISA court gave approval to do the electronic surveillance. Remember, it even goes back to, this will implicate Eric Schmidt, because, again, he was involved with Hillary and the data processing and was paying for a lot of this. Perkins Coy, the attorneys that did the birth certificate from Obama. And by the way, I see people in live chat are asking about the birth certificate. We won't get to that today, but I guarantee you that subject's not done yet. And once they had the permission with this Carter Page, and that's all the FISA court said, go get Carter Page. Well, Carter Page had and the Conservative Treehouse has done some excellent articles on this, where they've shown, I think, definitively that Carter Page was a Department of Justice undercover agent, going back to some cases that occurred around 2015. And Carter Page was an agent. He goes into the periphery of the Trump campaign, and now he starts talking to Jeff Sessions. He starts talking to Manafort. He talks to all these other people, calls them on the telephone. As soon as he makes contact, now the NSA and the FISA court approval consider Jeff Sessions to be collateral. So they begin eavesdropping Jeff Sessions. He's person A. And then Manafort, he's person B. Not supposed to name who these people are to protect their privacy. But when it gets to the White House, Valerie Jarrett unmasks these people. She finds out that person A is Sessions, person B is Manafort, and then they leak it to the press with Obama's approval. Now, that's right there. That's the treason case. That's treason right there. That's trying to overcome, because they continue this. They went back to the FISA court, I think, 4 times, and they continued eavesdropping on Donald Trump and his key people, even while they were in the White House. That's the focal point in which all these people go to jail or face serious treason charges, maybe in a military court.
Good afternoon, Jerome.
Oh, now that's very interesting. Well, everybody see that. That's my, I wasn't touching my cell phone. There's my cell phone. I think you can see it in a minute here. It just, while we're talking, Siri comes up and asks me what I need. So anybody think I'm being listened to through my cell phone? I mean, they could actually just tune in a live chat, but how does the cell phone just go off and suddenly Siri pops up and says, asks a question about what we need? That has happened, by the way, repeatedly over the last 3 or 4 weeks. So I think, Pamphlet, I think what's going on here is that Sessions is going to agree that the scope of the investigation demands the powers of a special counselor, and he's going to appoint somebody. And my first choice, I have 2 choices. I think he might do Gowdy, who seems positioned for the role. He also might pick someone like Andrew McCarthy. If McCarthy would do it, a former U.S. attorney who I think would be absolutely outstanding as a special counselor. So, Pamphlet, why don't you weigh in on all this? I think these are really developing and critical stories. I think this is the next big story that's going to develop. It's going to be Snowden. It's going to be, I think, Assange. And it's going to be a special counselor. Pamphlet, are you there? We may have lost Pamphlet for a minute. Well, we'll continue. Okay, so
I'm kind of curious about this, the mainstream media that's shifting the narrative that's coming. What do you think of that?
Well, see, the mainstream media is desperate at this point because Mueller's done nothing. He indicted 13 wacky Russians who posted some things on YouTube, and that's not going to get anywhere. That's not going to have any big impact because they're not going to come back to face justice. They're not going to be here to face trial. And somebody said I should ask Siri who shot JFK. Yeah, well, Siri would say Lee Harvey Oswald. That's you all understand that. The point is, the narrative is shifting because now Trump counterattack is beginning, and Mueller really has run out of gas. He's pursuing all kinds of things that are not in the main mission. He can't prove Russian collusion. But the new special prosecutor investigating the Democrats will clearly be able to prove Russian collusion. Trump is just going to have to be sure, or someone working with Sessions, that he appoints a special prosecutor who's a patriot and who will do the job, who will really get in there and investigate and really do the job. And that's the key. But I think we're going to get a special prosecutor, and I think we're going to get Snowden and Assange back with their information, and this is going to be, I think, one of the real beginnings of the deconstruction of this coup d'etat, this traitorous plot that Obama and Hillary concocted for 16 years socialist control of the White House.
Am I coming through now?
You're coming through now, yes.
Okay, I have no idea what happened there. That was just strange. But I will just say briefly on the note of on the subject of special prosecutor, special counsel. I think you're 100% spot on. I think something big is coming down the pipe. We've been told over and over again, trust Sessions. I do trust Sessions, and I'll tell you why. Because I trust our president. I don't think Sessions would be in the position that he's in if he wasn't trustworthy. You can just personally, if you watch him during his interviews with these Senate hearings and whatnot, he plays this role very well of just sort of playing coy and but just acting like he knows nothing about what's going on. He plays the innocent grandpa very, very well. But you can. At least I can see this. You can see this twinkle in his eye, this knowing twinkle. And I'll tell you what, I think he's waiting for the calls for a special counsel or a special investigator or prosecutor. I think he's waiting for the calls for that to reach a fever pitch. And I think they have to before it's going to be sort of acceptable in the public's eye to have him step up and appoint special counsel for all these issues. So, and I think, by the way, that the news that is going to come out over the next weeks and really probably this month are going to cause exactly that reaction among the public. I think the calls for a special counsel to investigate all of this just terrible behavior and corruption, I think the calls are going to reach a fever pitch because the news coming out here very soon, I believe, is going to really reveal a lot of that to the public.
I'm going to, a couple of people here, and many people have commented this in live chat. Faith St. John, Sessions is brilliant. He's been working behind the scenes, getting his cases in chronological order. Very thorough. He's meticulously shrewd. Sessions, I've known Sessions for a long time. And for me, the turning point was when Gowdy started making the points about here's why the powers of a special prosecutor are needed. This is where this is what a inspector general can't do. Okay, so I'm just reading the Conservative Treehouse, which also someone on the live chat said to take a look at, and it says Attorney General says this is in the theconservativetreehouse.com today, which, by the way, is an excellent source. I recommend everybody follow it. The information here is extremely good. And the conservativetreehouse.com today says Attorney General Sessions confirms prior appointment of a DOJ prosecutor parallel to IG Horowitz, not a special counselor. And so therefore they think he's going to have someone in the Department of Justice. He revealed in an interview with Shannon Bream that he had previously appointed a Department of Justice official to investigate the issues delivered by Chairman Bob Goodlatte, the judiciary, prior to receiving the request for a special counsel from Goodlatte and Gowdy. I believe Sessions did that. But see, the unique thing, and Gowdy and Goodlatte knew he appointed this internal official to investigate. But then they came out yesterday with their letter that they wrote to Sessions. And in that letter, they made the argument that here's the legal reasons why we have to have a special prosecutor, because you cannot investigate people who left the Department of Justice, people who you don't have the powers to subpoena and to wide range conduct an investigation. If you appoint a special prosecutor, all these extraordinary powers are there. Now, that gives Sessions a legal reason why he may be compelled to do a special prosecutor. And if Sessions feels compelled to do it, that's where I think the difference may become.
Mm-hmm.
I think it may be that's I think the tipping point for Sessions.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I think what they're waiting for is for the calls for this to reach a fever pitch. I think it almost has to. Anything less than him being given almost no choice in the matter due to calls from the public getting so loud and so incessant that he just has to listen. I think they're waiting for that because that's the only way they can really go about this and have it appear how it needs to appear. It has to appear legitimate because it is legitimate. I mean, it has to have the full weight of the public behind it, or it's just going to get the leftist media out there is just going to jump all over it and whatnot. They have to have no room for any sort of tomfoolery by the by the Mockingbird media. There's got to be no room for them to sit there and try and rip it apart.
It's I wanted to also go to one more part of this before we kind of wrap up here with an hour, which is I think our target for doing the broadcast. Donald Trump also signed another special executive order on military tribunals, and it went largely unnoticed. When you read it, it's a very technical executive order. It refers to the Code of Military Justice, this paragraph, that paragraph, this paragraph, that paragraph. I think what it does is it sets the stage for two things to happen. One is certain military who may have been forced to do certain acts or, under Obama are not going to be prosecuted for it. And secondly, it sets the predicate for civilians to be tried for certain offenses in a military court. We need to get a really definitive analysis. Someone who is familiar with the Code of Military Justice and an attorney, especially if they're a military attorney, JAG, could really analyze that and tell us exactly what that order says. But it was very interesting to see in the middle of all this a redefinition of the military tribunals by Donald Trump in an executive order. People are asking here, Kelly mom, two girls, about the hammer. The Q says in Sessions going to put the hammer down. Of course, the hammer down, is an obvious reference to, a gas, pedal to the metal, go full speed ahead. And it also means, basically, Sessions pulling out all stops and launching the investigations and prosecutions he can, and then getting a special prosecutor in for the others. I think that's in the works. I think we're going to find out that one of the booms, and remember, you've got four booms that the Q keeps referring to, the boom, 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 boom. One of them could be the return of Snowden to the United States, maybe Snowden and Assange. Another one could easily be the appointment of a second special counselor to go after the Democrats. Is like dropping the hammer like a gavel. DJ King makes that point. It's very good. Yes, I think that's going to happen, and I feel pretty confident. I don't see Sessions being able to resist the pressure of a special prosecutor at this point, and I think it's important for everybody out there, all the anonymous out there, all the people who are posting here and watching. Your voices need to be heard. The calling Congress, calling the Department of Justice, posting in various websites, creating the the storm to have a new special prosecutor. Remember, this Second American Revolution is about the anonymous. It's about you. It's about everybody out there. It's, as Q has said, your voice needs to be heard. And I think this is one of those moments with Sessions deciding on a special prosecutor that your voices need to be heard right now.
Right. Yeah. I mean, without us getting loud, as Q has said, really making ourselves, putting ourselves out there and organizing and making ourselves heard. Without us doing that, how else can this special counsel that we all know needs to happen? It has to. We have to be out there shoving this into the faces of our representatives and the public at large. Without doing that, if we don't do that, we're not going to see this happen. It's up to us, as is everything with this nation and the way that our country works. It's time to take back the power that we have always had, just lying there unused. It's been sitting there this whole time, as Q has said a number of times. We've always had the power. We just forgot how to play. We forgot how to use it. And it's time for us to wake up and get off our butts and get out there and do what needs to be done. On Sessions' note, on the subject of Sessions, really quick, and the booms, what Sessions said yesterday regarding California and their the Democrats in California and their calls for radical open border policies, that was our second boom. Fairly convinced. And I think we're going to see that be developing over the next week or two.
All right, I think we've come close to or right at an hour. I think we'll come back, and I'll plan to come back again tomorrow. I think the same. I've right now got some. My book is coming out on the killing of the deep state. And I may have some time conflicts with promoting it. I think tomorrow I'm going to be in New York City at Newsmax, and we're going to be recording some programs on killing the deep state. And so I may not be available at the same time, but I'm sure Pamphlet can carry on and have a broadcast tomorrow as well.
Of course. I think, folks, we're going to try and do this more earlier in the morning. It's probably 7 a.m. Eastern to 8 a.m. Eastern, somewhere around there.
Maybe that's a little early. That's a little early for me to get going.
Yeah, we'll decide on a regular time.
I like the idea of coming in a little bit more in the day when we have a news cycle developing. We can monitor it, and this kind of time around a little afternoon is a good time. Early afternoon, where we get the news cycle in full process through the day, and then we can kind of pick up on topics as they're coming out. And, there's plenty of topics here to talk about. We've got to talk about the steel agreement and the economy. Donald Trump is doing so much at the moment. It's remarkable how much he's accomplished in his first year and a couple of months. I mean, this is really a remarkable start. And Donald Trump is going to continue at this speed. I've known him for a long time. And
the man has an almost otherworldly drive and ambition and energy to get this stuff done. Almost otherworldly. It's incredible.
Given God's grace and enough time, he'll be one of the best presidents we've ever had. So let's sign off. Thank you all. God bless, and look forward to being with you again tomorrow. And thank you all for attending. We had over 3,500 people listening. That's great for a first broadcast.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Thank you very much.
God bless every one of you, and thank you for tuning in. Keep on tuning in. You'll see improvements every time we get going here. So God bless again. God bless all of you.